Hi there, Cancer. Thank you for joining me for your monthly forecast for September. With a rulership of the moon, your instincts are often what guide you so successfully. Of course, like us all, there may be times when you're not quite sure about how to go, and there has been some very intense influences over the last couple of months. But you've now entered a period where communication, in perhaps a more intellectual way, a more mental way, is going to become much more important, and knowledge and skills can be things that really come to the fore. And it's an exciting time for you. Jupiter has moved into Virgo and is going to be here for the next 12 months broadly. But also this month the Sun is in this location through to the 22nd, and I think the pace of life is really going to build up. There can be lots of exchanges, and some of these can be very interesting, but I have to say some could be rather baffling too. In the first 4 days of this month, the Sun is in opposition to Neptune. Neptune has the potential to distort reality. So if you are grappling with any facts this month, it is going to be vitally important that you double check any information that you're working on. And even if you're traveling somewhere and you could set off with really high hopes, your reality could be rather crushed if you pitch up to where you expect to go and what you saw on the advertising doesn't quite match what is actually there. And part of the reason for this is that with Jupiter broadly in opposition with Neptune all this month, your expectations are going to be ramped up to a high level. If there's someone you start reading, even a novel, or there's some particular spirit guide or mentor that you start tuning into, don't believe that they have absolutely all the answers for you, because most of the answers for you will come from within you. And so it's going to be important to keep a little bit of a sense of realism. However, I do feel that information is going to be spinning round at a great rate of knots this month, not least around the time of the solar eclipse on the 13th. That's going to provide a backdrop of energy for the next half year. Really exciting stuff for you. And I do feel that there's going to be a real opportunity to gain a lot of knowledge generally. And you're likely to find yourself a lot more on the move this month, and physically quite inquisitive and active even. That's really possible as well. However, there is the matter of the Venus retrograde at the start of this month. Unfortunately, the great news is that from the 6th, she starts to go forwards, and your financial picture can really start to pick up. In fact, in the first 2 weeks of this month, a surprise offer could absolutely thrill you. It could come completely out of the blue. It may require you to make a snap decision, and it may be about you moving into a new area socially, in terms of your interests, or even professionally, but it can be a very enriching possibility if you have the courage to go for it. And as I say, a snap decision may be required. However, Mercury is located in a more tender position for you all of this month, suggesting there may be times, despite all this buzzy energy that's bouncing around, that you may want to just peel off and have a little bit more time to yourself and just recharge your batteries and achieve a sense of real peacefulness and a kind of oasis from those outer pressures, because it really is going to be a cracking pace. However, from the middle of the month, Mercury goes into a retrograde, and if you are trying to set up anything around a family gathering or you're communicating with someone in the family, greater care is needed in the second half of this month. If you're trying to move home, where you really need to stay on the tail of the real estate agent or the lawyer or attorney that you're talking with, don't just take what people say at face value. Keep pushing, because when Mercury's going backwards, it can be mischief making. Saturn, however, does move. It moves back on the 18th into a much more practical location for you, and it suggests that more responsibilities and obligations could be heading your way in the next couple of years, but it is an opportunity for you to get fitter and stronger and more durable in terms of your health. And the way to do that is to become much more informed about what you're eating, nutrients, and the amount of exercise that you do. If you take shortcuts in this area, or you're doing something that's not so good for you in terms of too much sugar, the wrong kind of salt, a little bit too much of a sedentary lifestyle, well, Saturn's going to be really pecking in your ear over the next couple of years, reminding you that some improvements need to be made. Now, on the 23rd, the Sun joins up with Mercury in the sign of Libra. And if there are changes you want to make at home, this can be a fine time to grapple with them. But there could be outer pressures too that emerge on the back of the lunar eclipse on the 28th, which occurs in the sign of Aries. This suggests that you may, in relation to wanting to communicate more and learn more skills, you may have to in some ways bend what you would like to do with the expectations of the world at large. So it could be that an employer will ask you to reskill or train in a different way, and at first it may not be seem something that would be particularly interesting. All of this is possible over the next 6 months. So I do think it's going to be very important that when it comes to your working situation or the way that you communicate or think about the outer world, that you don't have any preconceived ideas. Now, Mars moves on the 25th of this month into Virgo, and that's going to reinforce your drive when it comes to connecting with others. And I do feel it can also be brilliant if you are wanting to up your exercise regime. So generally this is a month which has a lot of pace in it, a lot of energy. There's going to be a lot of texts and emails and some bright conversations. But I also think it's going to be important to give yourself a few moments to cocoon yourself away and have some downtime. Thank you for joining me. Good luck and goodbye for now.